Welcome to the TELPAS Writing Collection Overview for 2011-2012. I'm David Dipple, Testing Coordinator at Humboldt High School. I am located in the 3100 office. The writing verifier this year will be Amanda Staten, formerly Amanda Cunningham, and she is in the 4001, the Alt office. All ratings are based upon writing collections, which are rated or graded based on samples from various contents. The goal in assembling writing collections is to make sure the collections portray the student's overall English language proficiency. This year, February 20th, is the first day we can take up collections. Only writing assignments on or after February the 20th may be considered. They can continue to be gathered until the district date, and with this year we have set March the 9th for non-ELA writing samples and March the 21st for ELA samples, because the English teachers have to collect 2 writing samples where math, science, social studies only have to collect 1. TELPAS writing samples need to be taken from authentic classroom activities, contain the TEKS content and/or the English language proficiency standards, and they must be given to all students in the class. You cannot just select out your TELPAS students and give them the writing. We have to have at least 5 total samples. 1 must be a narrative. That comes from an English class plus 1 other English one. At least 2 of them need to come from math, science, or social studies. So we collect all 3 of those. Now, some eligible types of writing: descriptive writing, a writing about a familiar process, narrative writing, reflective writing, any other extended writing from language arts classes, or writing assignments from science, math, and social studies classes, and we'll go through some of those. And this is not an exhaustive list. Papers we cannot include are those that contain copied language, papers in which the student relies heavily on resources such as dictionaries and thesaurus, or papers that showing teachers' comments and/or corrections. We cannot accept worksheets, question and answer assignments, or tax written compositions. We cannot accept papers that have been polished or with help from the teacher or peers, papers written primarily in the student's native language, or papers that are very brief, incomplete, or rushed. Now, some examples for science. Have the students explain a scientific process, explain the steps of an experiment, write about something you are learning in your science class, write about why lab rules are important, or write about how to use a certain device or piece of scientific equipment. Those are all good science examples. For mathematics, writing about a way you have used mathematics outside of school, explain the steps you use in a mathematical process, write about something you are learning in math class, or writing to reflect the thinking you do to solve a problem. From social studies, write about a historical figure, the person's contribution or significance, write an expository piece about an important historical or current event, write about something you are learning in your social studies class, defend a point of view about a policy or issue, or writing a persuasive piece to influence a change in a policy or law. English prompts can be found in the TELPAS manual on pages 20 through 22. Most of you have seen those. Examples such as basic descriptive writing, writing about a familiar process, narrative writing about a past event, reflective writing, extended writings on a topic from language arts. Now, some items that Ms. Staten will look for when reviewing the folders. We will look for every paper has to have the student's first and last name, the date, and the date cannot be before February the 20th. And if it's math, we prefer it before the 9th of March. English has until the 21st. We do need you to start on the 20th. We're going to have tax testing inside this window, and we're also going to have Star testing, spring break, that all happens in these windows. So you only have about 2 good weeks. The paper cannot be graded before it is submitted, so you just need to make a copy, grade the copy, and get that back to the student. We cannot accept worksheets, and every teacher submitting the samples needs to sign off that they turn them in, and there'll be a folder in the Alt Office 4001. The actual process: have your class complete the writing assignment, make a copy if you need to, if you're going to grade it, and then return the copy to the student. Put the original in the writing collection box in 4001, and then again sign the front of the student folder so we know that it's in there. Now, what happens to all the work that we've done? On March the 22nd, the raters, which are our English teachers for the most part, go through each folder and they rate the student. They also have to do some other ratings on not just the writing portion. That's why we use English teachers who know the students. And then those ratings come back to Ms. Dayton or myself, and they get entered into an online system. Now, once that happens, student progress is tracked, and TELPAS ratings are used in eventually the Humble High School overall ratings, and student work stays in the student permanent records for 3 years. Now, some examples of papers that had to be reworked, rewritten. These are actually turned in. If you look at the first one, this was the front. This is what we found. Then on the back, this is what we found. In this particular case, we have whiteout and we have grading. Okay, the front has whiteout areas, and the back shows that it was graded. So we cannot have documents that are graded. We can't have whiteout, things like that. In this particular case, if you look at this, was just the top, it keeps going, but there's some items missing that we need. We need a first and last name, and we need a date. In this particular example, we had a name and a date. This was the rest of the example, and it is too short. We can't have a brief example. It needs to be about 3/4 of a page long because we're looking for how the student writes and conveys information that way. In this example, we have a name and a date, and this is what we're looking at. And if you'll notice up here across the top, this is a copy, and we need the original turned in because that needs to stay in the student's folder. We can't have copies kept there. In this particular example, we have the name and the date again, but then on the rest of the sheet of paper, this is all we found. Now, we need to use sentences. This is not an essay. This is not writing work. This is just a list. We cannot use just lists of words, and we cannot use worksheets. Here's another example of what we got. Even though there was a name and a date, we need them to use English. Okay, this is their native language, and unless they're just very, very, very beginning students, only been here like a month or something, we need as much English as possible. Now we have a little quiz. When can you start collecting writing samples? This year, that's February the 20th. What must be on every writing sample? The first name, the last name, and the date that it was taken, and again, has to be after February 20th. How long should each writing sample be? Approximately 3/4 of a page. Can you turn in corrected papers? No, we cannot have corrected papers. Can we turn in copies? No, we don't want to see copies. Can you turn in worksheets? No, those don't demonstrate the actual student writing. They're just demonstrating can they fill in blanks and things like that. And finally, where do you turn in the writing samples? Ms. Dayton's office, which is the 4001 Alt office. There'll be a box, and you can find that and put your writing samples in there. What do you sign? You need to sign the front of the folder. That way we know that you've turned the documents in. We know to look for them if they're not there. And when are all the writing samples due? March the 9th, or for English, the 21st. Appreciate that. If you have any questions, give me a call or drop by the office in the 3100 hall. Thank you.